national TV star and season 17 winner of NBC's The Voice, Jay Hoot. Good morning, Jay.
When you just said that, it reminded me of the Beverly Hillbillies movie stars.
Movie stars, Beverly Hills, hit jackpot. Man, congratulations on your win. That was absolutely amazing.
Thank you so much. I just went out there and I tell everybody, I just went out there and had a good time, and it was everybody back here that voted, and just amazing ride.
I think we were more nervous than you were. I mean, I know I was sitting there watching it on TV, but you were so calm and cool and collected. I just wondered, were you burning up on the inside?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I don't know. I think at some point it was like a turning point for me. There, like when I did Reba McEntire's "You Lie" and a couple other ones, I was nervous as all get out. But at a certain point, I just got it. I got in my head. I was like, I'm just going to go out and have a good time and enjoy this. And people who have been to my shows here locally, excuse me, they know I don't dance around. I just stand there and sing. And so I just said, I'm just going to get back to that and just enjoy it and be present and be in the moment.
Were you in the moment to come to Los Angeles and to go through everything you did, and every time I saw you, you were just Mr. Calm, Mr. Cool, Mr. Collected, and I think it speaks highly for you in your entertainment future, and to being able to do that. What is it? I've always been told is even if you don't know what you're doing, always act like you do.
Absolutely, yeah.
And it's the way that you put yourself forth that you were so calm in doing it. I think meant a lot in helping you win. Has it sunk in yet?
Not at all. It hasn't even sunk in that I got Kelly to turn her chair yet. It's just been a wild ride, and I mean, it was a long process, because the beginning when I first auditioned, not for the blinds, but when I first auditioned in Nashville was in February, and it just finished up, December 16th or 17th. But
that was a really long ride.
Absolutely, long ride, and back and forth, and traveling a lot, and being stuck in LA for over 4 months this year, and so it's been wild. But I'm glad to be home, glad to be able to get a little bit of downtime.
Well, let's talk a little bit. A lot of folks may not know the Jay Hoot that we know. Okay, we were talking earlier that I met you the first time back in March of 2014, I believe it was. I was having my campaign kickoff running for mayor, and Jay Albright at 7 Senses was catering the event. He says, "Hey, Ricky," he says, "I got this guy that is really good." Said, "How about you have me at your campaign kickoff?" And I said, "Okay." I said, "What's his name?" He said, "Jay Hoot." And I said, "Jay Hoot?" He said, "No, Jay Hoot." And I said, "So his last name is Hoot?" And he said, "Yeah." And I said, "What a great last name." And we had you at the campaign kickoff. Absolutely did a great job, and we both knew that you were going places.
Oh, thank you. I'm sure I was nervous as
It didn't
as
show.
a tree back then, but I can remember that, because I remember, of course I started working at the radio station, I think around that time or right after, and you'd come in and stuff, and I would be like, oh, I know that guy. I remember singing at his campaign thing. So.
And that's what makes it so great is having someone like you that we have known all these years to get behind and support. And I have to say, I've been in Putnam County for a long time, most of my life. I have not seen anything else or anyone else that the whole county and all the surrounding communities around Putnam got behind, came together, and supported you like they did. It was absolutely amazing. How's it make you feel?
Like I said, I'm still trying to process. There's a couple different thoughts. Is first off, being in LA, the opposite side of the world, it seems like, Putnam County and then surrounding counties and stuff had the producers talking about how they had never seen, that kind of support and that kind of boom, because they kept up with all my social medias and everything. And so seeing that was an incredible thing. And of course, people who would, post on Facebook or send me text messages or screenshots of billboards and newspapers, and radio stations here were playing my music. And so, all that was incredible. And then, just knowing that I got to be a part of something that brought a lot of people together, that people that may not have ever talked to each other or met or anything like that, and they got together not only over The Voice, but over a lot of the fundraiser stuff that we were doing at the same time. Like, so many people around here are so generous and so loving, and I'm incredibly grateful to call this this community my home.
We live in a great community, absolutely. You come from a big family. I was amazed. You got 8 brothers and sisters.
Yes, sir. I'm the second oldest.
Born down in Texas.
Yes, sir.
Your mom and dad, I guess, did a lot of traveling, going to some foreign countries, I think, that
Yes,
you went
sir.
to as missionaries, and then 2009 you came to Tennessee Tech. Seems like there's a lot of us have a story, okay? And it usually begins with, I moved to Cookville to come to Tennessee Tech.
Yeah, absolutely.
And never left, I guess, since then. Huh?
No, I mean, we grew up all over the place. We ended up in the Dominican Republic for about. They lived there 14 years. I lived there 11 before I moved back. But I was one of those, young college kids when I first moved here that I was like, man, when I'm done graduating, I'm going to go travel. I'm going to find some place to live and this and that. And then you Cookville and Tennessee Tech, they just take you in as their own, everybody, as I got older, I was like, man, this is a great place to live. And at the time when I was thinking about, starting a family and having kids, I was like, I would love for my kids to be raised here. And so once I graduated, it was an easy decision. I was like, oh, I'm staying here. I'm not leaving. And it's been one of the best decisions I've made, just because, even now, like, people have taken me in and they claim me as, Cookvillian, even though I'm a transplant, but
That's what's amazing about our community is all of us that moved here from somewhere else, we're all just Cookvillians in Putnam County. And
absolutely.
Such a welcoming community that we live in. I think that's what makes it so great. You have got your daughter, Macy, absolutely gorgeous.
Oh, thank you.
And watching her on the show and interacting was just great, but I know that had to be tough, being in Los Angeles and being away from her a lot. How'd you deal with that? A lot of FaceTiming?
That was, yeah, thank God for FaceTiming. That was the hardest part of the whole process, is being gone from her. Being a single dad for a long time, I mean, she is my best friend,
She's your life,
and everything I did for her. And of course, about a year ago I started dating Becca, and she's got Hadley, Hadley's about a month younger than Macy, and so being gone from all them was really tough, but, knowing that I had their support and their love and why I was doing it ultimately, made it worth it.
I think you've got a jewel with Becca too.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, absolutely.
She seems so sweet, and y'all make a great couple and great family. And I know it's been a great ride, and we're going to get into that and a lot of the behind the scenes stuff. We've been talking about your family and how you moved to Cookville and everything. Let's talk a little bit about what made you decide to try out for The Voice.
That's, it's a long story. I had tried out for American Idol years and years ago.
I didn't know that.
Not a lot of people do, but hated the process. It was a horrible process. They heard you in like cattle. You got maybe 15 to 30 seconds to sing, and then you're in a part of a group. Like, you don't even get like your own personal. So I hated it, and of course I never went anywhere, and I just said I'm done with it. And then I got an email one day earlier, I think it was in January this year, and they said, we saw you on Instagram, we watched your videos, and at the time I was doing bath tune videos, and we'd love for you to come into Nashville. And so my initial response to them was, how do I know this isn't fake? Because who reaches out on email to do something like that? And so they sent me some different stuff, and I said, well, why not? Because I had such a bad taste in my mouth, and honestly, going through some hard times in life and whatnot, like, I was in a good place in life at that moment. And I was just like, I don't have any expectations. Life is great. Anything that happens, it's going to be icing on the cake.
Plus.
Absolutely, it's just a plus. And I didn't didn't go in hoping to make a career out of music. I just thought I'd go out there and try to have a good time and
do the best you could.
Next thing I know, I'm winning the thing. So I don't know how that happened. All I can say is God's good.
I was going to say God's good.
Absolutely.
He had a hand in that for sure.
Yes, sir.
Let's talk about some of the songs that you did while you were out there. You started out with When It Rains, It Pours. I believe one of Luke Combs' songs. We were all nervous. One chair turn. Mm-hmm. Kelly, I had to say though, she was the one I was hoping was going to turn
nice.
for you. I just had a good feeling about her, and I thought she'd be great for you. But was there any of the others that you were really hoping that you might that might turn also or not?
Oh yes, sir. And I even told Kelly this. Like, I went into it hoping Blake would turn.
Right.
Just because Blake, I love his music. I play a lot of his music at all my shows, and so I'd gone in there hoping for that. And plus, he's country, and I didn't know necessarily how Kelly would work with a country artist. But honestly, people have asked me, like, are you like are there any kind of feelings towards Blake? And I'm like, absolutely not. Like, I was just happy to get an opportunity to be on the stage, much less turn a chair. But when it rains, it pours. I love Luke Combs, and I wanted to go out there and do a high power song. And
Well, you did.
well, thank you. And I mean, you only sing for a minute and a half, but it seemed like 15 minutes before Kelly turned. So it was you kind of
That was in
cliffhanger.
slow motion.
Absolutely. And then I blacked out once she turned her chair. I don't remember finishing the song. So
You know, after that though, Blake became one of your biggest supporters. Seems like every time you were coming out, it was Hoot, 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 and so I think he was envious. I think he was jealous that he didn't turn to go with you too. But it all worked out great with Kelly, didn't it?
absolutely. And Kelly had told me stories of where Blake had told her like, I don't know why I didn't turn, like, and was kicking himself. But like you said, like, all of the coaches were, huge supporters. Like, they all had some really nice things to say every time I sang. And Blake would come up and give me a hug on stage and just tell me, he's proud of me and stuff like that. And just little things like that meant a lot. But yeah, Kelly was an incredible person to work with, and very glad that I got to.
In the background, we don't see all the things going on in the background. With the days long and practicing and working with Kelly and all those kind of things. In the scenes that we weren't seeing.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, we stay in a hotel out there, and for the first couple, so for like battles and knockouts, all of those are pre-taped, and so we'd have a couple days of downtime, when because there's 48 of us out there, and we're, all practicing songs and stuff, and so we'd have a couple days of downtime. But then once you get into the live shows, it's literally nonstop, especially when you make to the top 13, because that's when you start recording songs in studio. And so they've got one day booked out, and so there were days that I wasn't getting to the studio until 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning to record, and getting back at 3 and 4 in the morning. And so incredibly long days, and every day you were doing something else, whether it was vocal lessons, meeting with Kelly, meeting with just the band, meeting with Kelly and the band. And then, of course, all those clips and stuff that you see of us standing there doing these poses or looking off into the distance or walking, we had days and days planned out for those filming and stuff, and you film for hours only for them to use like 2.5 seconds. So, but I mean, there was a lot of stuff, but it was an incredible experience. I learned a ton about what goes on behind the scenes on these shows, and honestly, everybody that makes The Voice happen, they're just some incredible people. Everybody's so nice, and so it was just really fun.
Next song, I think, I don't know if I got them all in order or not, Willie Nelson, always on my mind. One of my favorite songs, I have to say. What made you choose that one? Did you choose that, or did she want to?
That was Kelly's choice. So Battles and Fan Week are the only 2 times that we don't have any say in our song. And Kelly picked, obviously that song, and she picked who I was battling against. But I was super happy when I heard it was You Were Always on My Mind, because I've sang it a couple times.
You have, I've heard you sing it.
Yeah, and so I was like, I mean, I can do this one, and obviously learning how to sing it with somebody else on stage was a little bit of a challenge, but we had a good time, and I think, it turned out all right.
Once you got down a little ways, and, That Ain't My Truck, which was great, and then Desperado by the Eagles. Unbelievable.
Thank you.
Were you able to pick that one, or did someone else pick that for you too?
Absolutely, yeah. That Ain't My Truck. I actually did That Ain't My Truck when I first auditioned before the Blinds, and so I was happy that they let me bring that back. But Desperado was a tough one because I had requested that song, and they were very adamant about Don Henley, the Eagles, their attorney, whatever. They do not clear that song for anybody, and so they had only cleared it for one other person that's been on The Voice in 17 seasons. And
wow.
They said, why don't you go ahead and send us another list of songs that you want to do? And I did, and then they came back and said, well, they cleared it so you can sing it. And that song's just special to me just because Mom, loves the song, and I grew up, the Eagles are my favorite band of all time.
Mine
so
too,
it was
yeah.
just an incredible moment. And that was the first actual performance that I wasn't nervous for. So
was the Desperado.
Yes, sir. I just got out there and got back in my element and just had a good time.
Had a great time. Then towards the end, you went with one of your songs that you had written.
Yes, sir.
Some folks would say maybe that's a risky decision of going with that, but what made you decide to do that?
Yeah, I mean, it's, you have the option to use one of your songs if they approve it, or you can use, one of their songs that they have written. But I just, to me, my dream has always been, if I'm standing on stage singing one of my songs, that people sing it back to me. And so it was a no-brainer for me. It makes you vulnerable,
It's a great
but
song.
Thank you so much. But yeah, it was one of those things where I was excited that they let me sing it.
It was amazing. I thought one of the greatest things too was when you did your duet with Kelly. She let you take the lead on that song. I mean, she was doing the background vocals and the other part. What that had to be amazing singing with her.
Absolutely, yeah. No, that was one of the highlights of the whole thing. Just because, like you said, she wanted me to take the lead, but she also, you know, getting to say that I got to sing on stage with Kelly Clarkson and record a song. You know, there's nothing like it. But yeah, that was definitely one of the highlights of the whole experience.
Dreams come true.
Absolutely.
It's like you went out there, you won the show, you come back, the next thing I know, you're at Walmart, you're at Heritage Ford, I see you all around town. It's almost like nothing happened. How has it changed your life? I don't know if it's sunk in yet or not, but you came back and almost went back to normal life.
Yeah, you know, everybody kept telling me that, you know, this area had gone, you know, I don't know if crazy is the right word, but everybody was just very excited, you know, and, you know, just a lot of moving parts and whatnot. And I didn't disbelieve them, I just didn't know at what scale it had. And so my life had changed when I was still in LA. And then I get back here and, you know, one of the things that I missed and one of the things that I struggle with in LA is I like getting out and doing stuff. I like going out and driving around and going to the store and cooking. And I couldn't do any of that stuff when we were out there. And so going to Walmart every day, like I had no idea the amount of people that, you know, would come up and be like, hey, can I get a picture? And, you know, this and that. Can I get your autograph? And, you know, very grateful for it, but I had no idea at what level that would happen. And so it's changed. I'm having a great time. You know, the family's, you know, having a good time with it, and we're trying to find those moments for just us to spend our time together. But definitely, you know, the very least I can do is for a community that kind of got behind me and accepted me and pushed me through to win this thing.
Absolutely.
You know, the very least I can do is get out there and kind of return the love a little bit.
Well, you're definitely doing that. Folks are excited just to see you around town. Let's go back to the show, singing with Little Big Town. That had to be up close to the top. I know singing with Kelly was one, but being able to sing with a great band like that, tell us about that.
Yeah, I mean, and I've said, you know, that the Eagles are my favorite band of all time, and one of the reasons was because of their harmonies.
Right.
And when I feel like when it comes to harmonies in music today, Little Big Town, they've got it, you know, and they're legends. I mean, they you know, figured out how to do it. And so when I had asked to sing with them, and then when they told me that I was getting to sing with them, I had no idea how much I would enjoy that. And I got to meet with them backstage for about 30 minutes before we went out and rehearsed on stage. And I can honestly say they are some of the nicest people you would ever meet. They're just sweet, down to earth. At one point I was having a hard time finding the harmony because they've got all the parts figured out. Mm-hmm. And I had said, you know, I'm trying to figure out, and Jimmy, one of the, you know, heads of it, he was just like, why don't you just take it? I'll just back off. And I was like, this is your song, man. Like, I'm not taking your part. And so it was just little things like that. And they tried to give me those moments. Like, there was a moment towards the end where I go really big.
That was great.
And thank you. And they tried to find moments that I could, you know, showcase. And then just like, you know, Kimberly, who was standing beside me, who kind of threw her head back when I hit that, they were so encouraging. And so that was an incredible time. And then they sent a video from their plane or whatever after I won, just congratulating me. And, you know, that stuff just, I don't even know what real life is right now, you know. So I'm just like, one, they know my name.
You're still in the fantasy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. I think at some point I'm going to wake up one morning and be like, oh my gosh, that all just happened, you know. So it's been great. I can't complain.
Got to enjoy the ride as it goes.
Yes, sir.
And I applaud those folks, Kelly and them, for doing that and letting you be the star to step up, and them taking the second roles. I think that shows their character and how great they are. And
absolutely, yeah. No, great. Kelly is, you know, she was always about trying to showcase me and get me out there, and you know, she had told me multiple times that, you know, she was like, I've done a lot of collaborations with a lot of people, but the one that she and I did, she said, this is one of my all-time favorites. And I think that showed through in our performance, because we didn't try to outdo one another. We just tried to make this beautiful song, and I mean, it took off and did pretty well. And
turned out great.
Yeah, and so.
What was your favorite song? Out of all those that you did, was there one that stuck out? Was your favorite?
I think it was between four, just because, you know, I did two duets, and both of the duets are obviously at the top of my list. But Out of my solos, I did a song during the Knockouts called "Cover Me Up" by Jason Isbell, and that was the first time I was in my element, and I just had a good time singing it. And then of course Desperado was the first performance I wasn't nervous. I just got out there and I said I'm gonna have a good time. I let everything around me stop, and I was in that moment, and I think that was definitely a turning point for everything for me. But yeah, those performances, all of them. I mean, any performance I got to perform on that stage was incredible, but I think those four definitely were the top of my list.
I thought Desperado was one of mine.
Thank
one
you.
of my favorites. You did great. You set some records. Let me read you some of these. 6 songs in the top 10 of the iTunes Country Singles Chart. That is more than any other singer in the history of the show
Wow.
has had in the top 10 at one time. You had 4 songs in the top 10 on the overall singles chart. Your duet with Kelly climbed as high as number 2 on the iTunes overall singles chart, making it the highest charting coach duet in the history of the show. You hit number 1 on both the overall singles chart and the country singles chart with Desperado. And then you reached the top 10 on the country singles charts with 7 different songs that season, with 2 of those hitting number 1. I mean, you kept hitting all of those records. I mean, that was telling us back at home, and I don't know how much of this knowledge you were getting as the show was going on, but we were seeing all of this streaming success that was going on, and we just knew you had this locked up. I mean, that's amazing to go and set those kind of records.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's, you know, and I say this all the time, I don't feel like it had anything to do with me. I mean, it shows just the community and the support back home. I mean, it just, you know, I was getting out there and singing and doing just what I love to do and having a good time and soaking it all up while everybody was back here streaming and buying the music and watching the videos.
And going crazy.
And going crazy. And so, I mean, you know, when people
amazing.
ask me that, you know, oh, how does it feel to do this? And my thing is just, to me, it's heartwarming because I know that I have a community that's a family that backed me and that made all this possible and broke all those records rather than me doing it. So, just an incredible thing, and I'm very grateful for it.
You're going to show how grateful you're wanting to give back to the community. We've got a special event planned, actually this afternoon, January 4th at 1 o'clock at Tennessee Tech at Hooper Evelyn. You're actually going to put on a concert.
Yes, sir.
Free.
Absolutely free.
Everyone listen, guys.
Yes, sir.
Jake Hoot is going to be at the Hoop and doing a free concert this afternoon, which is January 4th at 1 p.m. We figure the Hoop holds somewhere around 8,500, 9,000 people. We're expecting it to be packed and expecting wait lines outside, but what a great idea for you to want to do that and to give back to the community. Tell us a little bit about what you have planned.
Yeah, you know, I had reached out, you know, back home to you and to Mayor Shelton and a couple other people where I just said, you know, it's the very least I can do is to do a concert and whatnot and make it free because I didn't want to charge anybody for anything, you know. And so, yeah, I mean, we're going to have a good time. Hopefully it'll be packed. I don't know the exact number, but I've got some friends coming out that are going to be special guests, and we're going to have a good time and just kind of give back just a little bit. I know there's going to be some presentations for all the merchandising and stuff that was bought with the proceeds going to, you know, nonprofits and mission organizations.
Yeah.
You know, that blew my mind. I mean, that just
People are so generous, aren't they?
so generous, so loving, and for them to get a part of, for them to be a part of like a mission organization in Nicaragua that none of them had ever been there, had never, you know, met the people, but yet they felt led to give to that cause and everything else. And we're gonna give those presentations out to those organizations, and so it's just gonna be a great time. So if you're in the area, come on out. Like we're gearing up and it's gonna be fun.
Absolutely. What happens next with Jake Hoot? Where do you go from here? I know contract, I guess with NBC with The Voice. How does all that work and what's your plans?
Well, when it comes to the contract stuff, I have no clue. I just, you know, I know
Still waiting to hear.
Still waiting to hear. You know, I'm technically signed to Republic Records, but they don't really sign country artists, and so it'll be one of those things where I'm going to be looking to other labels. But in the meantime, you know, I'm just going to spend time with family. I'm going to continue to come into work every day at the radio station and do my thing and do what I've always been doing. And you know, hanging out here, and then as soon as something comes, you know, we'll pray about it, sit down as a family, talk about it, and move forward. But as of right now, I'm just enjoying the ride, and you know, looking forward to all these other opportunities that are going to come out of it.
That's what I love so much about you, Jake. You're so humble through the whole thing, and you look to God for leadership and guidance, and you're praying about things, and He'll guide your path. It's going to be
Absolutely.
great. I think your future is going to be great. I think doors are going to open, and things are going to happen. We keep laughing amongst ourselves, okay? We keep saying, we're going to be able to say one day, I knew Jake Hoot when you worked at the radio station, or I knew Jake Hoot when he sang at my campaign kickoff, or all those kind of things. So, because we think your career is just it's heading straight up, and no plans to leave Cookville now, right?
Absolutely not. No, somebody said, you know, if a label out of Nashville signs you, you know, would you move to Nashville? I said, absolutely not. Nothing against Nashville. I mean, I love Nashville. I love people there, but Cookville is home, and I couldn't think of any place better to raise our girls, and you know, just be part of a community and be part of a family. So I don't mind making the drive whatsoever, but yeah, we don't have any plans of going anywhere.
Well, we love you here, Jake. We are so proud of you. The whole county and our whole community surrounding Putnam County is so proud of you, and so honored that we can be a little part of it, being able to vote for you and do all the things that we did to try to help push you through. And so proud, man.
Well, I can't tell y'all thank you enough. Y'all did, you know, between, you know, you and everybody else that were pushing it and you know, promoting and everything else, it means the world. So thank y'all so much.
We just can't wait for the next chapter to see what happens with you. You know, we're all there supporting you. Anything we can do, let us know.